All right, hey speech class, it's Mariah again. Today I'm going to be talking about mandatory recycling and why I think it's a good idea for the U.S. to instate. This is my audience. This is Clint, this is Janet, and this is Nakia. So yeah, they're going to be listening in, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So. All right, so is everybody comfortable? Yes. Cool. Yes. So you guys all live in Germany. How many of you like the recycling programs that they have here?
I love it.
Everybody.
I like it.
Yeah. Jana, you don't like it? It's pretty inconvenient. But you can say that this place is beautiful, right? Like
Yes.
you can tell that they really, really care for their environment. So that's kind of what spurred me to do this argument. In 2012, it was actually reported that Americans produced more than 251 million tons of waste. And of that, 164 million tons were dumped into landfills, whereas the rest of the 87 million were actually transported to recycling plants. While 87 million tons is pretty respectable, it's a pretty good amount, I just feel like it's not enough to make the difference that needs to be made. So the U.S. currently has 1,908 active municipal waste landfill facilities. That sounds like a mouthful, but it's basically a hole in the ground where all of our waste is dumped. There's tons of them throughout the entire country. While some of them have an expected capacity of 600 years remaining, there are many others in the country that only have 3 years left of their lifespan. So in 3 years, they're expected to be filled up and they will be no longer of use. So that trash is just going to be staying there in the ground until it decomposes, which is going to take years. According to annual statistics, the U.S. dumps enough aluminum to rebuild the country's entire airline fleet. This is each year. Enough aluminum to rebuild the country's entire airline fleet. They dump enough tires to circle the globe almost 3 times, and enough paper is wasted to build an 11-foot wall that could span from New York to San Francisco. That's a lot of recyclables going into these landfills. All of these items just get dumped. So, I mean, they basically, they don't have any purpose after that point. And while consolidating trash into landfills may provide a convenient and cost-effective method to disposal now, what happens when we actually lose space? What happens when we run out of room in these landfills? This question is why it is imperative that the United States think about instating a mandatory recycling program. There are several other reasons why, and I'll be explaining those today. So one of the main opposing arguments people have with mandatory recycling is that it's not cost effective. Now keep in mind that the average American throws out about 5 pounds of trash a day. That's a lot of trash, isn't it? 5 pounds. Just think about all the stuff that you throw out, or used to throw out when you live in America. You'll be amazed. Dumping trash into landfills may be cheap now, but with the population growing exponentially and with the amount of trash that we throw out, this will eventually make landfills a hot commodity once they start filling up. And when that happens, states without landfills will actually have to pay more money in transportation costs to move their trash to states that do still have active landfills. Sure, it could be argued that we just build another landfill or just dig another hole in the ground and stuff more trash into it, but I mean, that seems like a logical idea, but it's really just not that simple. Landfills are way more than a hole in the ground. It takes a lot of calculation and money to create these. I'd like you to take a look at this diagram that I have up on the wall. It's just basically, it's a picture of all the landfills that we have in the country right now. And as you can see, there's red and green dots. The red means that they're still open, and the green means that they've been closed down. But all in all, it kind of makes the country look like Swiss cheese, doesn't it? Now, seeing this picture, you can kind of start to understand that it is a little difficult to find an optimum location for these landfills. Not only is it a headache to locate a good location that won't contaminate our water supply, but it's extremely expensive for taxpayers. So if our country made recycling and composting mandatory, less waste would be created and less waste would be going into our landfills. And there's already enough, as you can see. So when done correctly, recycling actually has the potential to be significantly cheaper than the alternative of continuing to fill our earth with trash. And that's essentially what landfills are. But in order for it to work, we would need to completely overhaul our current trash systems with one that accommodates recycling. By this, I mean doing things like using the same trucks to pick up both recyclables and end items of waste, so stuff you can't necessarily recycle. Most cities who complain about the cost of recycling tend to use it as an add-on cost to their pre-existing trash system rather than its own entity. So in order for this to work, we basically have to make recycling our primary mode of disposal. Just makes more sense. Most cities that actually have this down packed are, their citizens are used to recycling, and it shows in the environment, like Germany, for example. Their trash system works. It's basically a system organized to where they do curbside pickups on certain days of the week. But the catch is they limit their pickups to only twice a week. Make no mistake that this system takes a long time to get used to, but when you actually do get used to it, you'll wonder why you haven't been recycling all along. It's pretty simple. It causes people to think about what they're throwing away, and it's cheaper in the long run because the recyclables aren't being thrown into our landfills and wasting our valuable space. Mandatory recycling would also decrease our use of natural resources. By recycling, we extend the life of materials required to make metal, paper, plastic, and glass. It would lead to less deforestation, and therefore we would be protecting our ecosystems, which is very important. Additionally, we would be saving a lot of energy used to manufacture items from raw materials. For example, when a can is made from a raw material, a huge, expensive process takes place. They first have to mine material from deep inside the earth, and then after that, those materials need to be refined and cleaned before they can even be considered a can or usable material. On the contrary, if you make a can out of recycled material, you're taking out all those initial processes, and in turn, you're saving the energy that would be used to manufacture a can from scratch. According to Cans Manufacturers Institute online, recycling just one can actually produces enough energy to power a TV for 3 hours. And that's a lot of TV considering how much metal, how much aluminum and steel we waste in a year. One of the biggest arguments for mandatory recycling, and one that affects everybody everywhere, is the fact that recycling directly reduces the production of greenhouse gases. It should be no secret by now that our Earth's atmosphere is suffering due to our growing populations. When you recycle, you are decreasing our need for landfills, which account for 25% of the Earth's greenhouse gas emissions. Using less paper equals cutting down less oxygen-producing trees. So as you can see, this stuff all ties in together. Mandatory recycling programs seem like a no-brainer approach to fixing any damage we can to ensure a healthy future for generations to come. We need to stop searching for immediate gratification and convenience when it comes to garbage disposal. We need to continue to push environmental education and promote recycling to save this planet, because every effort helps. So please, give mandatory recycling the green light. And that's really all I have. So I hope you guys learned something from this speech, and I'm going to open up the floor to any questions that you may have.
So Mariah, what about jobs? Do the closing landfills will take away jobs also?
Well, that's actually a main concern with a lot of people in this theory. And actually, it's really not the case, because if you think about it, recycling is very tedious. It's very, very tedious, as you guys can all attest to, because you have to sort through all your stuff before the German trash companies can even pick it up. So the sorting process alone creates 10 times more jobs than any landfill company can produce. And on top of that, you're also going to need to hire people to make things out of these recycled materials. If we're going to make money off of it, things need to be made from the recycled material. So in short, no, it would actually create more jobs and it would benefit our economy greatly.
Sounds like a good opportunity for innovation.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Mariah.
Thank you for listening. Any more questions? Thanks. Thank you for listening, guys.